to this lesson where we are going to talk about the factors that affect the climate of a region. So there are particular conditions that or particular factors that actually affect the climate and decide what the climate of this region should be like. And these factors are as follows. So the first one that we talk about is the latitude. Okay, let's talk about what is latitude first. So if you have, suppose this is our Earth. Okay, so this is our globe. So the center of the Earth is called equator. In the northern hemisphere, you have Tropic of Cancer. Southern hemisphere, you have Tropic of Capricorn. And if you move on from the equator, we start actually counting the distance in the unit of degrees. So if you have this side, if you go up in the northern side, you find there is 10 degree northern hemisphere, 20 degree northern hemisphere here, 30 degree and so on. So, it goes on increasing. So, and when you come to the southern hemisphere, it's the same case. So, what are we doing here is, we are drawing these lines. These are telling us these are called the latitudes, these horizontal lines that we have on the globe. Now, if you talk about the vertical line, that's called the longitude. So, what we are talking about is the latitude. Now, let's see how does latitude affect the temperature of any region. We know that the earth moves, it rotates, moves round and round, it rotates, and the sun, the radiations of the sun fall perpendicular on the equator. So right on the equator it falls. So due to which the regions near the equator are very hot. And as you go above, away from the equator towards the pole, the sun radiations are slanting, due to which it's not very hot in the regions which are away from the equator because of the sun's radiations. So as you see, the latitude is actually affecting what type of climate should be in a particular region. If it is near the equator, the latitude, then it's going to be hot. It's away from the equator or maybe towards the polar, it's going to be extremely cold, and it's all because of the incidence of the sun radiations. So I hope you are clear with how latitude affects. Now when you talk about India, where is India? So India is actually, it's what you can say, it's actually affected by the Tropic of Cancer in such a way that you have two parts of India now having different climatic conditions. Like for example, below the Tropic of Cancer there is some part of India, and above the Tropic of Cancer there is some part of India. So if you draw a line from Rann of Kutch in Gujarat to Mizoram in the northeast, so from the northwest to northeast, this divide, this is the Tropic of Cancer this is the Tropic of Cancer which passes through these two, to the extreme left and right. And the area below this in India will have a tropical type of climate that is hot and humid. And as you go above, this will have subtropical type of climate, which is nothing but extreme weather conditions. Like for example, it's going to be very hot as well as very cold during winters. So subtropical type of climate. So that's the speciality of India, that it is actually falling in two types of zones, which actually, give a variation in the climatic conditions. So that's about the latitude, how it affects and how it affects India. So what we can say about latitude is, due to the curvature of the earth, the sun's radiations received, or you can say solar energy received, varies according to latitude. Okay? So that's how latitude affects the climate. Let's talk about the second condition that affects any climate in any region is the altitude. So altitude means heights. So suppose if you have a mountain. Okay, so we have a mountain. So as you go high above the mountain, the temperature decreases. So usually in summer season, we love to go to hill stations because the temperature there is less than the temperature we find in our own region. So we are not at the higher altitude, we are very close to the earth's surface. So the temperature is more here. Now, you must have heard that as you go above, the earth's surface, at about 166 meters above, there is a drop in temperature by 1 degree Celsius. You go more above, there is more 166 meters, there's going to be 1 degree Celsius drop. So if there is a 50 degree Celsius temperature at the surface, it's going to be 49 here, then 48, and so on, it goes on decreasing. So when you talk about the Himalayan regions, so Himalayas, they are 6,000 meters high. So if you go above 6,000 meters, you must go and experience the temperature in minus there. Okay, so there are temperatures like minus 45 degrees Celsius and all observed there because of the high altitude. And when you talk about the regions around the coastal area, there the elevation is only around 30 meters. So the temperature difference is not much. So it's very hot down there. Okay, so altitude effects. So we can write at higher altitude, atmosphere. So the blanket of air that we talk about, atmosphere, is less dense and temperature decreases. So I hope you are clear with the altitude factor as well. Now let's come to the third factor that affects the area's climate, and that is the distance from the sea. Okay. Distance from sea. Let's see how does this affect any region. Okay, let's draw it above here. So if this is the region and it's very close to the sea, the coastal region, okay, very close to the sea, and this area is the land. So this is sea, okay, and this is land in pink. Now what happens during the daytime? So during the day when the sun is high, the land gets land gets hotter more than the sea. Okay, because water the temperature of the water does not rise much as the temperature of land rises. Alright, so due to which what happens is in the daytime, so let's notify day as the yellow, the orange color. So in the daytime there is low pressure on the land because of the high temperature and high pressure on the sea because of the low temperature comparison. So due to which there is breeze blowing from the sea towards the land. These are called the onshore winds or the sea breeze. Onshore winds or the sea breeze, they are cold enough. So at night what happens is when there is no sun, so due to which the land gets cooler much faster than the sea. So the sea has now what happens, there is a high pressure now created. Okay, high pressure created on the land and low pressure created on the sea. Okay, it's getting much cooler, it's getting cooler than the sea. So due to which what happens, now there is going to be an opposite direction of wind blowing from the land towards the sea. And this type of wind is called the offshore wind or the land breeze. Okay. So because of these land and sea breezes that blow around the coastal areas, the temperature difference during the day and night, or maybe the temperature difference between the summer and winter, is very less. So if the temperature in the winter is around 22 degrees Celsius, in the summer it will be around 25 to 26 degrees Celsius. So it's very, very less, or maybe around 30 degrees Celsius, but not much. But when you talk about the interior or maybe the places which are away from the sea, there you can see a drastic change in the weather conditions. So if the temperature in the daytime is 50 degrees Celsius, in the night time it can fall to 25 degrees Celsius. And even there is a lot of difference between the summer and the winter season. If the summer season the temperature rises to 40, in the winter it can rise to 15 degrees Celsius also. So whenever when you talk about, whenever we talk about the sea, so distance from the sea always affects the climatic condition of a region. So we can write that, moderating influence of the sea affects the climate. So more the distance from the sea, that region will experience extreme weather conditions, high and low. But closer to the sea, that region will experience very less difference between the high-low temperatures. Okay, so I hope you are clear with these three factors, how they affect. So when you talk about latitude, because of the latitude, the sun rays incident differently. So you will find that there are different climatic conditions that different areas have depending upon which latitude they are on. Then altitude. So at higher altitudes, temperature decreases. So places on the surface are much hotter than the places on the higher altitude. And when you talk about distance from sea, if the distance from the sea is more, extreme conditions, distance from the sea is less. The temperature conditions is not much. So I hope you are clear with all these three factors, and I hope you are clear with how these factors even affect India. Now let's move ahead to another lesson where we will see some more factors that affect the climatic conditions of our region. Here we come to the end of this lesson.